Straight to the newspapers now with Dipti, who's also joining us here on set. Dipti, you're starting in the US, aren't you? The US House of Representatives voting on the official impeachment of Donald Trump today. Is this finally going to happen?
Well, that's right. It remains to be seen how they vote. Several anti-Trump protests have taken place across the US. The US President Donald Trump himself sent a very angry letter to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And the question of whether or not he should be impeached is really playing out in the Illustrated Press today. This is from the conservative cartoonist Mike Lester, who sees this really as a pretext by the Democrats to impeach Donald Trump at all costs, perhaps to prevent him from being re-elected next year. Here is Pelosi telling Donald Trump that they've been trying to impeach him for 2.5 years over a phone call made just 6 months ago, to which Donald Trump rather sarcastically offers her a calendar. The Washington Post's Tom Towles, he's far less subtle in his criticism of Donald Trump today. Donald Trump here, he has him rejoicing that he's finally built his big, beautiful wall, but it's a wall of lies from behind which he's now hiding.
I'm sure there'll be lots of cartoons over the next 24 hours or so. Let's go to Pakistan for the next story. The papers there, they're reacting to the death sentence handed down to former leader Pervez Musharraf.
That's right. The former military strongman was found guilty of high treason for suspending the Constitution in a court ruling yesterday. He's been sentenced to death in absentia, it must be said, because Musharraf has actually been in self-imposed exile for some years now, splitting his time between Dubai and London. The Pakistan today noting that the decision went 2-1 against him, calling the three-person panel's ruling unprecedented. It's also sparked this editorial in the Pakistani Daily Dawn today, where the editors say the decision is, quote, no less than history being made. It's challenged the military's predominance. It shows the growing assertiveness of the judiciary. The death sentence may not be implemented, but the ruling, quote, carries far-reaching political implications.
Shocking story for you now. We're going to go to Haiti. An extensive study has found that UN peacekeepers fathered hundreds of babies with locals, many of whom were underage.
Yeah, these are really damning findings against the UN, which already has a pretty sordid history of sexual abuse by peacekeepers. This study was published by the academic website The Conversation. The UN's peacekeeping mission in Haiti is one of the longest in its history. It began in 2004 to keep order after a rebellion that toppled the then president. And then the peacekeepers stayed on until after the 2010 earthquake. According to the Times of London, which is relaying the findings, girls as young as 11 were sexually assaulted, impregnated, and left to raise their children alone. A small number of cases were rape, but most were transactional sex in exchange for food or money. Now, what's really interesting is 10 Haitian women have taken the, quote, groundbreaking legal action of claiming child support against the UN now.
Another shocking story now, different type of story though. Australia has had its hottest day on record with a national average maximum of over 40 degrees right across the country. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The country is sweltering under the hot and dry conditions. Not good news for the bushfires that have already been raging for weeks now there on the East Coast. For the Melbourne paper, the heat wave is a sign of the climate change challenges to come. Blackouts, drought, water restrictions, water scarcity. Climate change used to be a future problem, but the bushfires and drought have changed the conversation and, quote, strained the credibility of those who defend their lack of action. The Guardian also has an interesting feature article about how Aboriginal communities in Alice Springs in the Northern Territory could be the first climate refugees. Global warming is threatening their very survival. Water is running out. The desert town has had 55 days over 40 degrees this year alone. And without swift action, they may be forced to leave their communities and ultimately leave behind their identity, which, of course, is tied to the land there.
That's enough of the shocking stuff. Let's lighten the mood a little bit at last, I hear you cry. Finally, if you are hairy, you have a wonderful nose and you're extremely tall or short, this next job might be for you. It's not as a press review or a France 24, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
I'm actually, I fall in the average height according to this job description. Let it be said. I'm not tall, but I'm not very short either. Amazon Prime is developing what's going to be the most expensive TV show of all time, the new Lord of the Rings TV show. They're looking for New Zealander extras. So you have to either be under 1.5 meters or over 1.95 meters. Candidates with the following with one or all of the following criteria will be favored: missing or no teeth, lots of hair, red hair, white hair, freckles, and or skin like a, quote, leather handbag.
Oh, nice.
You are the person they're looking for. Sign up immediately. Two casting agencies were having trouble apparently finding these wonderful people, so they posted this very frank job description on Facebook.
Yeah.
The successful candidate will be paid around $300 a day to pretend to be a hobbit or a humanoid. Not a bad thing.
Go a lot, probably.
Very nice.
Yeah. They're too good looking in New Zealand. That's what it is. People need to be uglier. Thanks a lot, Dipti with the papers on France 24.